Three, two, one. All right. Hi, everybody. We are here. I'm here with Polly Tommy. I'm producer of Vaxxed and Vaxxed 2. Hey, Polly. Thank you so much for doing
Hi.
this interview. I'm so excited.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having us. Me.
Yeah.
I say
Yeah.
us because it's us
Yeah.
collectively.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I know I just talked to Anu and everybody else. You guys do great work and you guys work really hard. And you're helping a lot of people that have been suffering in silence for so long. I think that's one of the things you probably didn't really even intend to do at first, as far as all the people that are coming out about this, telling their stories. But would you tell your audience about Vax One and how that started, and then how it led to Vax Two?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was working with Andrew Wakefield, Dr. Andrew Wakefield. We had and we still do actually have a company called Autism Media Channel. And we were really initially trying to show what it was like for people living with autism. At that time, a lot of people wearing T-shirts saying autism is a gift and all
Oh,
these
I
kind of
hate
things.
that.
And I was very passionate about showing the difficulties that come with living with autism. So that was our main aim then. And we started following a boy who was very tragically treated terribly by the medical professionals in Chicago. He was strapped down with 4-point restraints. And so we followed his life until tragically his mother took his life. And we made a documentary out of this, and it was called Who Killed Alex Bordalakis? Because what we were trying to show was how desperate these situations are and how they're so lost in the medical professional when they're sick and they need help and they're just pushed aside. So that was our big love, really, if you like. And then Andy got the call about a whistleblower at the CDC, Dr. William Thompson, and that led into Vax One. My part's always been the parents, and it still is today. My passion is to interview them. So my role in Vax One was to interview Sheila Ely and the parents that you see on that film. And one of the most successful parts of that film, outside of Sheila Ely's story about how her son was injured by the MMR, was many, many parents saying, hear this well, this is what happened to my child as well. And this started the movement of parents starting to have a voice and be able to speak out about the vaccine injury. So it wasn't long after Vax One came out that we realized we had a problem, and that is that the parents really, more than anything else, even more than the science or wanting to know about the CDC and Dr. William Thompson, they wanted to tell their story. So flying around in airplanes was just a disaster because we spent so long in airports not being able to speak to these parents that we decided to get a bus. So that's how the Vax bus was formed. We got an old RV and we wrapped it and we headed out on the road with a team, a fantastic team, everybody with a different opinion on vaccines. We had a new who just spoke to who was pretty pro-vaccine when he came to us, and it only took him a few days before he realized there's a big problem out here. And I don't think any of us were prepared for what we saw out on the roads of America. And still to this day, it is absolutely shocking. And we now, I mean, I can say this, I'm not a doctor, you can't take my license away, you can't fire me, I don't have a job.
There's
So
liberation in that, right? Yeah.
I have no fear whatsoever, I have my faith. And I can tell you that what we've seen on the road is that there is no such thing as a safe and effective vaccine. Every single vaccine on the market today has dire consequences. Once that needle goes in, you will be injured in some way, shape, or form. It may not be apparent straight away, but you will not be the same
Yeah.
person as you were before. And that really shocked us.
Did you did you have this opinion before you started doing Vax, or did you just think it was the MMR vaccine,
Well,
or
my
just a,
son was injured by just the MMR vaccine, so that's all I knew. Um, so he literally had the MMR vaccine that morning. And I even had a friend warn me that morning that there may be a problem with this vaccine. And I thought she was crazy. I mean, if there's a problem with the vaccine, then the doctor would tell me, right?
yeah,
So I had
yeah,
complete blind faith in these doctors with their white coats and their medical degrees. So when my son had a seizure, hours after this vaccine, and we rushed him into hospital, they just said, look, it's a very common reaction with this vaccine. He's going to be fine. Give him lots of antibiotics and lots of Tylenol, the equivalent of Tylenol. I was living in England at the time. And Billy never recovered. Billy's brain swelled, and Billy now has brain damage. He's 24 years old, and he'll never live independently. And that was from that one vaccine. So my passion over these years was to shout out about the MMR vaccine. And that's how I got to know Dr. Wakefield, because he was already speaking out about that vaccine could be a problem. So that's really all I knew. So when we went out on the road and we heard the parents coming forward saying, look, my 4-month-old baby, had a set of vaccines and then died. And then once I'd done that interview, all these parents were coming from around America with pictures of their dead babies. It just can't be a coincidence. All
Yeah.
these parents, you could see in their soul, in their eyes, the absolute pain as they were telling me these stories. And then the Gardasil. I mean, I didn't even know what Gardasil was before we went out on the road. I'd heard of it, but I didn't really know about it. And these teenagers coming forward, and here's the difference. The dead babies can't speak. The brain damaged children like Billy, they can't speak, they can't tell you their injuries. And now we have these teenagers coming forward saying, I was perfectly fine. I used to dance in this ballet company, or I used to be an athlete. I had this amazing life, and now I'm crippled, or my brain doesn't work, or I'm on a feeding tube. And then the parents who said their children died, their teenagers died following the Gardasil vaccine. And it was just, it's coming at us so thick. We've just come back from Vaxxed 2 tour, and the stories are worse than ever. People, human beings in a vegetative state, parents that are broken because their children are now adults and they're wearing diapers and they can't eat properly, they can't walk properly. And these parents are getting old and they're crying and they're saying to me, Polly, where are my children going to go when I die? So we have a huge problem.
And not only that, I've noticed, because I have a cousin that's autistic severely. My best friend's son's autistic, and I saw that happen from the MMR. And, it's not only that, but, people think about the financial strain it causes on family, the sibling rivalry and resentment. It breaks a whole family. It's not just the child, the prejudice, the discrimination that people have against people that are, mentally handicapped is, you want to talk about racism, but, just talk about that. So it's all of these problems. Then I notice a lot of parents too, just to cope, they get on anxiety medicines and all this stuff. I mean, it's just this whole cycle of like destruction that's just terrible.
I have to say that sometimes I forget I'm in America when I'm going around on this bus with the whole team. Well, it's just a new and I now, but how people are living, it disgusts me that as human beings we're not doing more to help these families. And as you quite rightly say, we have a massive problem outside of the people that are injured, the siblings. This is the untold story of the future, because these siblings are so affected. They live with such guilt that their brother or their sister or their twin is so injured. There's such the devastation in the siblings is something I'm seriously worried about.
Yeah, that can be a whole nother movie in itself, because I see that happening. I guess now just and I used to work in special ed. It's I think where this path for me is also fortuitous too, because around the same time I was a long-term sub for LAUSD for 8 years, and I almost became a full-time special ed teacher because they need them so badly, because the amount of kids that are vaccine injured just keeps growing. And I would hear the parents talk about it through the years, and I never judged them, but I just never, it didn't affect me. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then that happened to my best friend. And then I put her in touch with my cousin, because I knew I'd lost touch with my cousin, but I knew I had an autistic cousin. And I was like, well, two grieving mothers can probably, relate. So I put them in touch. Found out the same thing happened to my cousin. So, I mean, it's just, and then, my cousin's an only child, but I see the effect that it's having on my friends and her 2 kids and my other friends. And, I have quite a few now, friends with autistic kids. And it just breaks the whole family. It's so evil.
This vaccine injury is the biggest crisis that we have in the world today, and I don't know why it's not being treated as that. But I have to say, one of the things that we discovered on the tour, which is the most important thing of all, is when we started interviewing the families that have their own Vaxxed Unvaxxed study in their house. So you've got the same parents, they've got a set of children, the first one fully vaccinated because they believed, autistic, either dead, autistic, crippled, all the injuries. The next one, a little bit vaccinated because they didn't quite wake up to it. So asthma, allergies, ADD, those kind of injuries, and then they stop. And then you see the complete difference in the
Yep.
unvaccinated children. It is unbelievable.
Yep.
And they won't do the Vaxxed study, or they have done the Vaxxed study, but they won't publish the results because the results are what we're seeing now. So as we go around, this is why we're going to continue to do it next year. We're going to go full blown into battle out there and interview these Vaxxed families, because I think this is the cleanest study that you can get. I don't think you can get any cleaner than this. There's no placebo going in. There's no taking the child with the trauma to the doctor for their Vaxxed scientific studies. They're not being we're not being sponsored by Merck or Big Pharma or anybody. We're literally going in there and saying, you tell us what's going on in your family. And I think when the world wakes up and sees these stories, they're just going to stop. That's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
That's what it would have taken for me to stop.
Yeah.
Because right now we're still not breaking through. We're still in our own community.
Yeah.
We've had no media outside of wonderful people like you who get it. And we're not going to, because they do not want. They learned with the first Vax that if they give us any publicity, the world gets to hear about it and wants to see the film.
Yeah.
So I think once we get these stories out, we're going to see the turning point here, because it's going to take for the people to say, get off my child. This is my child. I'm in charge of this child. This is my body. I'm in charge of my body. And you do not tell me what I can put into my child or my body. I think that's what it's going to take, an uprising of people saying, no, we won't go to your schools. We're not going to go to your doctors. We're not going to go to your hospitals. We're not going to vote for you. Yeah. All of these things is what it's going to take for this to stop. Because right now, we as collectively, as a race, have allowed this to happen.
Yeah, and I think I would say the largest problem and one of the barriers I would say getting through to people is people have this like very almost like sickening appeal to authority.
But we're taught that at school.
Yeah.
Being sent out the whole time, being sent to the principal for not obeying.
Well, yeah, and it's not just that, but I was thinking about something the other day. It's like you wake up in the morning, you watch Sesame Street, they tell you how great vaccines are. Then you watch The View, and they tell you how great vaccines are. Then you evening news tell you how great vaccines are. Then you have the medical, like the ER shows and the Grey's Anatomy that talk about the wonders of vaccines, and then they manage to slip in little smart remarks about how stupid anti-vaxxers are. And you have the late night talk show comedians telling you that. Not only that, you're learning it in the curriculum in school. So people are bombarded. We've been it's 24/7 brainwashing about how great vaccines are and how stupid you are to question them. And from the time you're a child, and it continues until your adulthood with all the TV programming and everything. And, people are taught not to, literally people that have died, listening to their doctors instead of listening to their own intuition, or either going outside the box because they have that appeal to authority. They're so afraid to go against that. They're afraid of what people think. It's literally killing people.
You're absolutely correct. And I was that person. So Anu was that person. We were all that person. Because, right from school, it was always, if you're really good, Polly, and you work really hard, you can grow up and be a doctor or a lawyer. Those are the two jobs that everybody wanted their children to be. Yeah. So you start thinking, people who are doctors must be so, so clever. What Vaxxed 2 will show you, when people watch Vaxxed 2, they will see all of these doctors, the highest of the medical professional training that you can get. They will tell you they've had zero training on vaccines other than they're safe and effective, and here's a schedule.
Yeah.
So that's a real eye-opener, because if I'd known that when I was bowing down to the white god of my doctor with my babies, then there's no way I would have trusted them, or even knew what it was in a vaccine. You don't think. But now we know what are in these vaccines. It's disgusting. It's different human blood is aborted fetal cell fragments. It's just dog kidneys.
Yeah.
It's
like witches.
Conspiracy. Just look it up, people. It's there.
It's like something out of Macbeth when the witches are making their brew. I saw Macbeth like a few weeks ago, and I was looking at that witches scene. I was like, oh, are they making vaccines? They're like, eye of newt, toe of dog, tongue of squirrel, and eye of frog.
I saw one of our peeps, as we call them, called up the poison department of the health and said, my child just ingested this, and she listed everything in the vaccine, but she didn't say it was a vaccine. And they said, you need to take her straight to ER because there's absolutely no way she's going to survive this. And this peep said, You know, I just read out the ingredients of a vaccine that the doctor wants my child to have, and then put the phone down on her.
Oh, did you record that?
No, it is recorded. It's out on the social media, but it's very clever.
Yeah.
Those are the kind
Well,
of things it's going to take for people to go, what?
well, it was what was that video? Did you see his name is Iris Patriot, and he called Merck and asked about the aborted fetal cells in the vaccines, and he got them to admit on he recorded it and he got them to admit that they were in the vaccines.
Yeah.
And then
it's on the insert. It's on the insert.
yeah, it's
too.
on the insert. Yeah, I mean it's easy if you want to find it, it's there. But they're just people. I think they're just people that also they're just in denial of the level of evil that you know these people can accomplish. And I think it took me a while to get there because at first I thought it was maybe too many vaccines at once or too many.
Yeah.
And once I started, when my best friend came back and she said she couldn't sue the pharmaceutical industry, I was like, "Are you kidding me? Are you sure you can't sue them?" And then we started a podcast and we had somebody reach out to us who later became our friend, but she was paralyzed by the Gardasil vaccine. Then, interestingly, I was like on a forum and people were talking about vaccines and asthma, and I've had really bad asthma and allergies. And I was talking to my mom and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting, but I was born with asthma." And my mom was like, "No, you weren't." I was like, "What?" So I went back and I got my immunization records and I was diagnosed after a round of vaccines. And I also found out that was one of the things you can sue the vaccine court before they pass the vaccine composition, the vaccine, the I can't think of the law. The you know what I mean though, that
The 1986 vaccine.
Yes, thank you.
You can't sue.
Yeah. No, I mean before that though, people were suing. Before you could sue, when they were going bankrupt, that was one of the things that asthma was one of the disorders on the list that people were suing for. But after vaccines,
it's frightening actually. And again, when you see our interviews with the unvaccinated, and also I'm gonna tell you this. The other thing that we found is that vitamin K they give those babies when they're born. That's a massive problem. So on the insert of the vitamin K, and it's really important people know this because my baby's got vitamin K, and I remember thanking the nurse. Thank you so much for giving my baby vitamins.
Oh.
Thank you, you kind person. And that's pretty much everybody's thought. It's not even vitamins. Please, people, look it up. It has a black box warning on the insert, which means death. They know that this is a problem. So as soon as your baby is born, they are going to put that vitamin K into your child. And we're seeing the people who do not have the vitamin K and are completely unvaccinated. There's no asthma, there's no jaundice, there's no eczema, there's no psoriasis, there's no cradle cap, there's nothing. These babies are beautifully healthy and strong. Sure, they get a cold, but they can fight it like that. But the unvaccinated that had the vitamin K, they're sick. So that vitamin K is crucial in the research that we're seeing as we go out on the road. We're calling it the people's truth because this is the people warning the people. Because it's so devastating, as your friends and your cousins' parents will tell you, it is the most devastating thing that can happen to your child outside of death. Because your child you can't, once you put that needle in, there is no going back. I know that you can do lots of biomedical intervention to improve the quality of life, but you will never get yourself or your child back to where they were supposed to be before they had that vaccine. It's really important people know that. And they mustn't be so frightened of measles. My son's 21. He's just had measles. It wasn't very nice. He was supposed to get it as a child, but he just had measles. And he was sick, but he's through it, and now he's really healthy. Now, I will take that any day over the MMR that brain damaged my child.
Would he be classified as somebody that's immunocompromised as well?
Which child?
Billy. That has who just had the measles? Who just had the measles?
Toby, the producer of
okay.
Vaxxed too. Actually, this is kind of breaking news because we weren't going to tell anybody because of all the trouble that we get from it because he hadn't had the MMR. So he's vaccinated, but I stopped at the MMR. But yes, he did catch measles, and it looks like a mutated strand of measles. But it looks like he got it from someone who was shedding from the MMR, and he was sick. But yes, Toby's had vaccines, so of course his immune system is not as it should be. But he did okay. He got through it. It's just not very nice.
Yeah.
But don't be scared. He didn't die, and he's not brain damaged.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to this guy in a gas station. We just happened to talk about when they were pumping up the measles outbreak that happened, the outbreak that happened in New York, the and he was like, he's probably like in his 80s, and he was like, oh my God, isn't that scary? I was like, no. And he was like, oh, but there's so many people getting measles. And I was like, well, you look pretty, pretty old. I was like, have you had the measles? And he was like, well, yeah. I'm like, well, did you die? And he was like, no, but I was uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, it's okay to be uncomfortable. You didn't die. So I think they're making a big deal out of this. And my mom had the measles, and they had measles parties
I went to measles parties. Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And
And
no
I just,
doctor came to visit you in the day. So I'm 53. So when I got measles, age about 7.
yeah,
No, you just go to bed for a week. But no doctor even checks on you because it's such a mild childhood illness that you don't even have a doctor visit.
yeah, yeah. And the chicken pox. And then somebody came on our page and was trying to say people were dying from chicken pox. I was like, where are people dying from chicken pox? Like where? They just people are so because they're kept ignorant. And they're also in a state of they can be manipulated easily via fear just to do anything. And I just saw, I don't know how long ago this was, but you interviewed that lady that was a nurse that was talking about the whooping cough and how she's a nurse and she knew that babies didn't die.
Yeah.
But she was still scared because of all of the programming she was getting through social media and Facebook and telling her that her baby was going to die. And I thought it was interesting that she said she didn't even stop vaccinating until her doctor had to break the spell and tell her to stop.
I know. What a brave doctor. On that note, I want to say to thank you to the medical professionals that are coming out, and they're still coming out now. People are going to see Vaxxed and they see the other doctors, and then they come out to me and they say, I'm just going to do this because I have to do this. And the more of you medical professionals that come out with your stories, and you don't have to tell me, they can tell you, they can tell anybody, but let's get these stories out.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to break it. It's brave. They are brave.
And I want to ask though, because just as a parent, I feel like I can be objective because I don't have a kid that's been damaged. But I think objectively looking at it, I think doctors need more support coming out. But I also understand the parents that hate the doctors because they ruin their life. Where are you with that? I can.
Okay, so here's where I am with it. I think in this day and age, with all the social media and every parent or person that you see out, I mean, you can't even go anywhere. You can't even go into HEB without seeing someone with autism or a disability. It's everywhere. There's no excuse. So now's the time. I feel terrible for them that they haven't had the right training. But if you just stop and look back, you know something's wrong. There's no doctor on earth that does not know something is wrong. You can see it. They see the babies dying. They see the parents screaming out that this has happened to their child. You are the first person that we come to with our precious gifts, our babies. It's your job to do the research properly because it's you ultimately that puts that needle into our babies. So yes, I do hold you accountable. You are forgiven. Stop and tell the world how dangerous these vaccines so we can put this right. So that's my view on it. Enough. If you're still vaccinating now, then you good luck when you go and see God. That's all I can say. I mean, honestly, seriously.
Yeah.
There's just no excuse to be vaccinating in this day and age. If you're a doctor and you're truly as clever as we're led to believe, do your own research on what you're putting into our babies because you ultimately are the ones that are injuring them.
And I've noticed something. I don't know if you've been noticing this too with your interviews, but it seems like the ones that do come out do have like a relationship or belief in a higher power.
Yeah.
It seems like the ones that don't really seem to care, they're kind of cut off from that.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no doubt about that money plays a role in this. These doctors are being given benefits, if you like, from getting a certain amount of vaccine in their patients, in their clinics. And that's why if you say you don't want to vaccinate, you will be asked to leave because you're messing up their bonuses. So you've got a choice in my mind. You cannot serve both God and money. So you either believe in God or whatever you call it, the higher power, and you've got to do the right thing, or you believe in money. And therefore, that's what I'm seeing out on the road. I'm seeing the people that come forward say to me, I don't want to go and meet my maker, and I know that I'm doing wrong. And also there's a lot of doctors that are really, really good people that just have to speak out about it because they're hurting people. They don't want to hurt people anymore. And if you are a believer, then you're forgiven because you're moving on your. I feel sorry for
Yeah.
the ones that just think, how many have I killed? How many have I damaged?
Yeah. That's a
But
lot of guilt.
certainly for
Yeah.
my faith as a Christian, you're forgiven. So move on and do the right thing. Speak out. How can you help these people?
Yeah.
Doctors are so powerful. They can change this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone's got to do the right thing.
And they're also, speaking of money too, they're also in debt, slavery, because they have a lot of, debt out of medical school.
Yeah.
That's another way that they keep them kind of in line is that. But yeah, I've thought about it. When I first started coming into this information, I had a really close relationship with my pediatrician because I was always sick. And I don't know where he is on this. I don't even know if he's living. But I seriously thought about it, and because I wanted to be a doctor for a while until I discovered the arts. So I would read a lot of medical stuff when I was a kid and everything. And I just thought that I'd be devastated, Just the people that go into this that want to help people and they're doing the exact opposite.
I know,
and,
but the way I look at
yeah.
things is, as I said to one doctor, I said, did you purposely go out to injure, maim, and kill children? She said, no, of course I didn't. I said, then you did what you thought was right. We all did what we thought was right.
Yeah.
So let it go, do the right thing, and move on. That's
yeah.
what I think.
And I think most people are grateful when doctors do come out and and help us, and that's what they're supposed. When they actually start doing their job.
They get so much love from our community when a doctor comes on the bus and tells the story, because we're live. The heart and outpouring of love and thank you for coming out. That nurse that used to vaccinate, she's just inundated with huge love. Our people, they don't judge. They're so grateful that people are coming out and doing what they're doing. So you're not going to get attacked by us if you come out and talk about the truth.
Plus, some doctors get burned. Some doctors have vaccinated their own kids and they've damaged them because they thought they were doing the right thing. So,
it's wicked. It's wicked out there. We've all been lied to, doctors included. We've all been lied to, and that's what we've got to all remember. And what we've got to do is keep trying to help those families, those young parents out there who were like I used to be, and think that people like me are crazy. And we're not anti-vaxxers. Remember, we're ex-vaxxers. We vaccinated our children, and that's why we're shouting out and warning other people. I would love to be a true anti-vaxxer because my kids wouldn't be injured. They'd be healthy and well. So most of us have vaccinated. It's really important.
Yeah, for people to know that. And I saw another. I don't think you did an interview, but it was just a video that was going around when Vax happened, where there was this mom and she was like, I went to see Vax, and she was like, I thought, she goes, most of these people, they vaccinated their kids. She was like, I didn't even know that. Like I thought they were just crazy and lived in the trees and they were like crunchy hippy dippy, but a lot of these people, and she was like, I was totally blown away by that because, of course, this is what the media tries to spin, and they don't tell you that the well-educated are the ones that have had the resurgence in this movement, and they don't tell you that actually the anti-vax movement has been around since the invention of the vaccine, pretty much, but they try and spin it, and like,
well, they just call us dangerous anti-vaxxers, killing babies, spreading measles and dangerous diseases. And because of us, I mean, the most ridiculous thing, and if people just stopped and thought about this for a moment, is when you see in the press, measles outbreak, hundreds dead because of one unvaccinated child. Hang on a minute, did that unvaccinated child have measles? Most of the unvaccinated children that I meet out there are never sick at all. So why are we suddenly blaming the healthiest of us all, which is the unvaccinated, on spreading diseases that they don't have?
Well, A, because they want to get rid of the unvaccinated population, and B, it's a good way to get us fighting against each other so we don't talk to each other.
Right. I mean, we were really shocked when we went to New York recently with the bus, and a beautiful young girl came on the bus and told us she's completely unvaccinated, really healthy. She's a varsity tennis player, and she said that she was in school, in class, and a security guard came and escorted her off. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I did. But tell them,
premises. And the principal said to her, you got to go because I got to feed my kids and I can't have you in the school. I'm going to get into trouble. And so the irony of her brother, like Billy, brain injured from the MMR, this healthy unvaccinated is not allowed to go to school because she's accused of spreading diseases she does not have. I just find that extraordinary, and it really, and again, it was another realization for Anu and I when we were in New York. Is this America? Is this
Right.
really happening? The armed security guards are taking these kids out of school that are perfectly healthy and leaving the injured in school, because that's reality.
I was telling Anu when we were doing the sound check before you came on that I went to Germany in September, and I visited the Holocaust Memorial, and I made a video talking about the vaccine injury crisis that's going on here is comparable to that, and people got like so offended. I don't care because they just need to get over themselves, and those people that are already dead we can't help them, but we need to help the people that are alive today. And but yeah, people got so offended. But you think about, I've been really rethinking about that history in World War II in Nazi Germany, because a lot of the people who think they're doing the right thing, the serious, crazy, pro-vax people that are, taking kids out of school that are unvaccinated, or bullying kids that are unvaccinated, they're just as bad as Nazis. It's like we're reliving this moment in history again, but it's a different like context, right? Instead of like, Jews or Catholics or gays, it's the unvaccinated, it's the people that are anti-vaccine that are being abused, and everybody else that believes in buys into the propaganda are like the Nazis. And
And
even
also, when the pro-vaxxers say to us, well, my child's absolutely fine, so I don't know what you're talking about. No, your child is not fine. That eczema, that inhaler
yeah,
that your child's walking around, the unvaccinated don't have those. So you've been lied to as well. Stop. Your child is not going to die from these diseases. It's more likely, if a really awful plague hit America right now, the ones that are going to survive
and
are
then
the
vaccine,
unvaccinated,
yeah, because
because their immune system is so healthy. So I feel sorry for those pro-vaxxers, because I was you. But please
what
look at your children. They're not well.
could you tell me about that? Like, what was that like for you when you were on the other side? Like, do you mind talking about that? That's very interesting
Oh,
because I've heard you.
yeah, it was awful. I was awful. I didn't realize how awful I was. I was so programmed that vaccines, I mean, I've had measles, mumps, and rubella. What was I thinking? But I was so brainwashed. I'll tell you a terrible story. This is how awful I was. So, pro-vaxxers, if you're listening, this is what I was like. There was a woman in a school, in my child's school, her children were not vaccinated, and we heard that she was going to go to India with her unvaccinated children for the whole of the summer vacation. And I went home to my husband and I said, we need to call Child Protective Services on this woman. I know, it's really hard for me to tell the story, but don't worry, I didn't. But just let me through it.
No,
Because I genuinely thought those children are going to die. They're going to India, and we were told, we have to have all these vaccines if you're going to go to a country like India, because you're going to get sick and your children are going to die. You're going to die of polio, die of hepatitis A. It's just, and so said to my husband, I'm so worried. What are we going to do? And he said, yeah, it's terrible, because he was pro-vaccine like me. He said, but let's not, because then they'll know it was us.
oh
But
wow.
so we didn't. But no, I can't believe that even went through my mind. Now that I know everything I know, but I genuinely was scared for those children. I did it out of love for those children. I didn't call them CVS, but I wanted to. So, and you know what? Now I look back, her children were so bright. They were top of the class and everything. They were so fit, bright, polite, lovely kids. They didn't have tantrums, they didn't have meltdowns, they didn't have
Yeah,
eczema,
yeah.
allergies, all these things that my kids had. But you're brainwashed. So yes, I was a pretty foul person, and I thought people who didn't vaccinate were putting my children in danger, and I stay away from them, really.
Well, you know what though, I commend you for telling that story,
It's
because
awful.
I think there also too there are a lot of people that were pro-vax and now they know the truth and they have a lot of guilt so they needed to hear that as well. And that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and this is what they do. This is how they manipulate us, because we shouldn't be fighting over this. Like you can't even. It's weird. You can't even talk to people. I had my brother is so brainwashed. He actually saw Vax, and he still is very pro-vaccine and is very like.
The first Vaxxed.
Yeah, you saw the first one.
Yeah, a lot of people are after that one.
He's
Tell him
he's
to watch. Tell him to watch Vaxxed 2. That'll change his mind. I haven't seen one person come out of that theatre and say, "I'm done."
You know what gets me, Polly, is they accuse you guys of this being anecdotal evidence, but that's all they do with polio and smallpox. They're like, look at all these people in the iron lungs, and it shows all these horrible pictures of people with smallpox. I'm not saying that people didn't get smallpox, and I'm not saying that people weren't paralyzed, but they don't show you the data, right? They don't
Right.
show you
And so the
like
other thing that I realised, having spoken to people like Brian Hooker that do scientific studies, or analyze scientific studies is is it's study of people or animals. So they study these vaccines on people and animals. What we're doing is actually more thorough than a scientific, uh, what am I saying? Scientific
Experiment.
experiment. Thank you. Safety testing of these vaccines. What we are doing is the real deal. So this is science. The people are the science, and they should have done this right at the beginning. The doctors should have listened to their patients and reported the adverse effects. My son wouldn't be damaged because this is going back years that this has started to happen. So yeah, we are doing a scientific study. We've got the people's truth, the people's scientific study.
How many interviews do you have now? It's over 7,000 last time I checked.
Oh, well, we have 8,600 and something names on the bus. We have 7,000, don't know how many, written testimonies coming in. We don't even have a count on how many Periscope and Facebook Lives we've done with families. It's almost all going inside, but we need to collect these stories in. We're a very small team, but thousands.
I mean, can you collect that data too and like actually publish it as a scientific study?
Well, I don't think it's got a chance of being published because the scientific studies are published in journals that are sponsored by Merck and Glaxo.
Of course.
So you see, that's the other thing. People follow the money train. If you follow it, you'll be shocked and horrified. Who pays for all these television programs you're watching? Mm-hmm. Who are the sponsors? All you do is see the ads coming up on TV. All the people that are standing up saying vaccines are safe and effective, who's paying them?
Yeah, and who funds the studies? That was one thing that shocked me is the pharmaceutical industry
and who
funds the studies.
Trainings.
And the curriculum. And the curriculum, the medical curriculum, everything. It's all controlled by the pharmaceutical industry.
I tell you who I feel most sorry for of all of this is the military. So I'm going to say this. I have been officially warned. The only threat, if you like, that I've had in my time is for speaking about the military. But I will say this. If you're a parent and you're really proud that your child goes into the military, well, you should be because he's serving this country. I get that. But you do understand the minute they sign into the military, they are a lab rat for vaccines. Mm-hmm. That is a fact. The military are not in Vaxxed because we're protecting them because they'll get court-martialed. Yeah. But I cannot tell you how many of the military have come up to us with severe injuries. Gulf War syndrome when they've never been to the Gulf. The
vaccine A, squalene.
And vaccine is for hell, literally. Please, people, whatever profession you're in, you got to get out at whatever cost because you cannot have that anthrax vaccine. We're seeing the worst injuries ever from that.
Oh yeah, we've had people to write us. I say we because my friends right now, she's homeschooling and take care of her kids, but this channel was started by me and my best friend. But we've had people to write us personally and tell us that they're in the military and they can't speak out. And the thing that's even messed up about it is they're so sick. The only money they can make is through their military benefits. And if they speak out, they'll get cut off. So then if they speak out, they have no way of supporting themselves or their family, and they can't work or do any other things because they're sick. It's like the most evil thing ever. It's so horrible.
And I don't understand, America, why you would want to. Your most important defense of this country, your military, why are you wanting to hurt these young people that are out there, fit young people out there that want to protect this country, and you're giving them the flu vaccine, you're giving them Gardasil, you're giving them anthrax, you're killing the most important people in this country, your defense.
Well, I think they just figure they can get some more. They can just brainwash some more. Because I've seen this too. I've seen other people that are older and they figured out what's going on, trying to warn the younger military. And then the younger military is so brainwashed and they're like, "Oh, you're just bitter. That'll never happen to me. You don't know what the military's about." I've seen like two people go at it, talking about one older military vaccine injured, damaged, and a guy that's just going in younger, all pumped up about the military. And just our society is messed up too. We don't have, I think especially for men, like with society, there's no bonding rituals for men. There's no, camaraderie for men, really. So I think the military is a way to help men bond with each other. That's something that's missing from our society, and that's something that I think a lot of men are drawn to when they join the military. And that they get that high and they like that, and it's hard to like talk them out of it. But I don't know. I mean, it just, the military really, really have it bad. I definitely agree.
Yeah, there's a great documentary. I think it's called direct order, and it's on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, I've
Someone's
seen it.
made. Yeah, it's really, really good. And these babies, so if you have the anthrax, these babies have been born without limbs. It's just awful. No,
Va-
nobody knows about this.
Vaccine A too. Gary Masamoto. He did a report. I think he may have messed up his career for actually reporting on this, but he wrote a book. There's a book on it too, where he basically uncovers the problems with the anthrax vaccine. I have a childhood classmate that I went to school with. Husband's in the military. Her child has some kind of, it's not Down syndrome. I don't know. She said he looked like a rag doll. His like very like weak muscles and stuff. But she was ranting and raving on and on about how everybody needs to get vaccinated because her son is immunocompromised. And I sent her a bunch of information. I was just like, look, you're going to have your kid around vaccinated people. They're going to shed. You're going to actually put your son in danger. And she just won't listen. She just was like, no, no. And I'm just like, look, I know you. I care about. I'm trying to like. She's like, no, no. And then her husband died of cancer. Of course, I mean, I'm saying of course because when you're talking about, when you get vaccinated, you mentioned earlier, it's you are going to be damaged. So whether it's now or later, autism is just the tip of the iceberg. We're talking about all these other autoimmune diseases, including cancer. So a lot of military people, they may not get damaged right away. They're going to get cancer. They're going to get some other autoimmune issue.
I have to say, so far on our tour in the last 4 years or so, we have not seen any cancer in the generations of unvaxxed families. So far, the minute we do, we'll report on it. But we are not, and remember that vitamin K, that counts in this.
Oh yeah, because it's not vitamins.
I actually think it's really dangerous to give birth in a hospital right now.
Oh, I'm not having it. If I have kids, I'm having a home birth. I'm going out in the woods. I'm going to live. But yeah, it's true. But you think
out of us for being, crazy anti-vaxxers, tree huggers. I want to be that person now.
Oh, they're so healthy and they're strong. My best friend, her last child, she did not have in the hospital. No nitrate in the eyes, no vaccines, no sonograms, no nothing. Amazingly healthy. The whole family gets sick. She might get a little sick. She gets over it like a day, and the whole family's sick for like a week. She's like, she's just like over it, and she has a lot of energy, super healthy, no allergies, no autoimmune diseases. I'm like, I'm sold. I'm having a baby.
Same story.
I'm having and I also have a friend that's a nurse. She has 4 kids. The first one had a reaction, not so bad. She has allergies and stuff, but she had like a violent reaction. The first one, they started doing research, did not vaccinate the other 3, and perfectly healthy, great, bright, smart kids, pleasant kids. No, like you said, no meltdowns, no tantrums. Really intelligent.
Well, if you have to ever give birth in a hospital for whatever reason, say you have to, make sure you've got an army of people who know their stuff. I'd take a lawyer if it was me. You know your rights because they will
take your baby.
Child Protective Services if you don't have the vitamin K and Hep B at birth. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll take your. I mean, I live in Texas now, so
you're okay. But there's still some crazy stories going on here in Texas as well. There's always that nurse that is going to call CPS. I say to young parents as well, or anybody, you should follow Dr. Suzanne Humphreys.
Oh, that's my girl.
She's the most brilliant doctor. Follow her on YouTube. Watch her YouTubes about delayed cord clamping, all these things that we had no idea when we had our babies. So go in there and really do your research. Listen to these really good doctors. If you don't want to listen to the parents, at least listen to the medical professionals that are on our side that have done their research, like Dr. Suzanne.
I love her. I follow her. She's one of the first people. Her and Tenpenny, but I really gravitate toward Dr. Humphreys. And I grew up in LA, and I've seen a lot of celebrities, and I don't get starstruck. But if I saw her, I'd be like, "Oh my God!"
Well, you just missed her. She was here yesterday. Oh. She could have been on this show if you'd done this yesterday.
Oh, well, you know what? I know we have some of the same context, so I think eventually I will get to meet her. So, but I love her. Tell her I'm a huge fan. I watch all of her stuff. I recommend her book all the time. Like her book, the Neil Miller book, and it seems like there's one book, and I know her book. When people are asking me what they should read.
Dissolving Illusions and Rising from the Dead. Her books are brilliant.
Yeah, Dissolving Illusions. That's what I bought a book for my, he still isn't ready yet, but I bought a book for one of my friends who has a son. But I think her book's really important because I think a lot of people also too, they instinctually know like something is wrong with vaccines, but they're scared because they don't want to get diseases. But her book breaks down the diseases, how they affect the body, the history. And I felt like after I read that book, after I saw her lectures, I didn't have any fear about any of that anymore. You
No,
know?
but you're more likely, from what we're seeing on the road, to get injured awfully from a vaccine than you are from any of these conditions that we're vaccinating for.
Oh yeah, for sure. You might even get the same disease that you've been vaccinated for. Like, did you
Yeah,
see
measles.
Malcolm Broadbent? Malcolm is a little unwell. You know about that guy, the British journalist who was going to Africa and he got the yellow fever
Yeah.
vaccine, and he technically he didn't say it, but he had all the symptoms of yellow fever. He went insane. So basically, he got the yellow fever vaccine, got yellow fever. And there's a documentary. It's still on YouTube. I think it's called Malcolm is a Little Unwell.
Okay,
But
I'll look that up.
yeah, it's devastating. It's devastating because, I mean, like we were talking about too, it wasn't autism, but it affected his whole family. It affected his marriage. So he had a kid that was growing up watching him go crazy. You know, I think he's fine now, but you know, it's like people want to protect themselves and they're doing the opposite, and you know, it destroys not just them but everybody around them. So it's
Exactly.
the
And
reach
think
is
about this.
used.
They say 1 in a million. The CDC say 1 in a million will be affected by a vaccine. So we have 8,600 and whatever it is, names on the bus.
Yeah,
Think about that.
that's
And that's
BS.
just a little bus getting a few stories.
Yeah. That's and a lot of people don't understand how it affects them. And plus, you know, even with that, I'm like, that doesn't mean anything if it's your child. You know, even if it's 1 in a million, I don't even think one child is worth the sacrifice. Because if it's your child, then
Yeah.
I just don't believe in the greater good theory.
No. There's
It's
too
not.
many that have taken one for the team, I tell you out there.
Yeah,
But I just think also people need to be, if people say, well, you know, they're watching this and they go, well, you know, this isn't my problem. My kids are really healthy. This is everyone else's problem. It's not. It's everybody's problem because when I die and all the other mothers, you're going to have to take care of our kids because then they don't have a shorter lifespan. They're just brain injured and they have a lot of problems that we manage as parents, as a family. But when we're all gone, what are we going to have? Mental institutions on the corner of every street?
yeah,
Where are they all going to go? And also, all the kids that are paralyzed, waist down in the wheelchairs, who's going to take care of them? Guys are going to have to take care of them.
yeah, yeah. And it's like that whole better diagnosis thing drives me crazy too because you know
Yeah.
where are all the people that are paralyzed and are diapers 40 years, where are all the special autism days and stuff that they have at parks and movie
I think they've
theaters.
stopped doing that now because they realize they just can't. It's so big now. They can't. There used to be a big thing. There's better diagnosis. Everybody get over it. There was always that child that couldn't sit down properly or would
Yeah,
fidget in the classroom. My son can't sit down on a chair when he's told to sit down on a chair. So no. But I think they've stopped doing that now. Now they're going on, it's genetic, and you can't have a genetic pandemic. It doesn't. And
yeah,
so we're led to believe that our kids, this is a genetic thing. Our kids are born healthily, and then suddenly, at whatever age, because it's all different. So at 13 months, Billy gets a high-pitched scream and diarrhea, and his brain swells. That's genetic.
yeah,
Doesn't make sense. And people now, I met someone the other day. She said, "I've got terrible psoriasis." She just had her Gardasil vaccine, but it's genetic. I said, you know what? Did you have psoriasis before the Gardasil? And she's like, no, I didn't. I said, but you've got to think, people. You've got to think. It's not. These things are not genetic, but they can get away with saying it because now every family has so much injury in it.
yeah,
So you can say, oh, well, my aunt has that, or my sister died of breast cancer, so it's just genetic.
yeah. It's environmental, and the whole thing about epigenetics and stuff that like kind of you know, like erases that argument too. A lot of people don't even know about epigenetics, and they, you know, I have this whole issue with genetics, not with just vaccines, but with anything. It just allows people to be lazy and throw their hands up, so you know, and not take
Yeah,
responsibility for anything. You know, if they're like, oh,
I
it's
know.
genetic, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So, oh well, you know, that come see, come saw. You know.
When you see the difference in a vaccinated family coming towards the bus and an unvaccinated family coming to the bus, it's unbelievable. The light in the unvaccinated family, this is how we all should feel.
Yes.
They're so happy. Their children are playing. They've just got light. Their life is just wonderful. And then you see coming towards you the deep sadness, the watery eyes, the blank stares on the children, and I hug them and I can feel them, their pain inside. Some just cry when they're talking. They don't even know they're crying because their eyes are leaking. It's so painful. It's just not worth the risk. If you're on the fence, just please, this is all we're trying to do, is just say, please, please look into exactly what you're about to put into your child, because you'll be horrified.
I had a friend too that she knew my stance on vaccines, and when she had her baby, she's like, "Okay, what do you know?" And I bought her Sherry Tenpenny's book, and she read it, and she was like, "No," she was not one, never, no way, no how, no. And she's actually opening up a school in Atlanta. She teaches at a school, but she's got certification, and she wants to open up her own school. And she's saying right now, the difference between her son is brilliant. Her son is speaking like, I feel like he's 4. I feel like I'm talking to a 10-year-old. Like you said, very light. He has this light, this spirit in him, and other people come up to her son, and they're always complimenting her on how amazing he is. And then she was like, I'm looking at the other kids in the classes, and she's like, I have 22 kids, and 7 of them have speech problems.
Mm-hmm. Or they can't concentrate.
Or they don't learn as much, or like she's like, something is up. She goes, I read the book. I didn't want it for my son, but she was like, now that I'm like looking and like making comparisons, I didn't even know that it was this bad.
We speak to teachers the whole time, and they say, first of all, they can't cope in the classroom.
Yeah, that's another problem.
And there's just nobody can sit still, nobody can concentrate. Everyone's on medication. The whole lot are on medication. Mm-hmm. And that's another whole issue.
I know, the antipsychotics and stuff, and they just, yeah, that's terrible too. It's hell. I used to teach in classes where they would have one-on-ones, but really the one-on-ones were like a bodyguard in case the kids just like attacked. I had this one kid that he picked up a box of scissors and he just started throwing them at the other kids, and I had to like run across the room and sit on him until they got something to calm him down, because he was like trying to hurt other kids with scissors for no reason. I don't even know what set it off. It just, it's insane. Like, yes, I don't even talk about that, but as a teacher, the whole learning environment, it throws off balance for everything, because it's a huge problem. I had a teacher that would cry every day, like next door, because she was so overwhelmed.
And the other thing I want to say to young mothers is stay away from wellness checks. Look at your baby. Is your baby healthy? Yeah? Your baby's healthy? Don't go there, because here's what's going to happen. They're going to weigh your baby, they're going to measure your baby and measure your baby's head, and they're going to vaccinate your baby. So you can do the weighing yourself if that's what you want, but you will be. And then the problem is, once you go in there, they're going to say, why are you not vaccinating? All right, you have a chance of CPS being called on you. So be careful. Think about it. They're actually, the people in our community have renamed them hell checks instead of well checks. So just be careful what you're doing, because what happens when you have a baby is you start following the protocol, because you want to be that perfect mom. Everybody
course.
does.
I would imagine.
So you get a little book, and the book tells you what to do, because you want to be perfect. You want to tick it all off. All of those places that they're going to send you to are for them to keep a check on your baby and the vaccine schedule. So you don't need that. I've spoken to the unvaccinated groups, the crunchy mummies, and they stay well away.
Yeah, there's that book, How to Raise Your Child in Spite of Your A Healthy Child Despite your Pediatrician or something. Yeah, Dr. Mendelsohn. I always mess up the title, but it's basically, he's an MD. He was a pediatrician, and he's telling you how to raise your child without having to go to pediatrician. Basically, you don't need one.
Also, I'm a big fan of chiropractors.
Yes.
You can get pediatric chiropractors. They are trained properly, people. They go to medical school as well. So they are really, really good, and they will keep you in check. They will stop the fear that the white coats will give you. And here in Austin, we have the best chiropractors ever. So, yeah, get yourself a good chiropractor for your family. It doesn't hurt, and if it does hurt, go and find another one.
Okay.
It's really good, and we've seen some great results from that in our children.
Okay, cool. I just want to start wrapping up. Where can we see Vaxxed 2? What's going on with that?
Okay, so anybody interested in seeing Vaxxed 2, go to vaxxed2.com, the number 2. Yeah, isn't it number 2? Vaxxed2.com. and you will get all your information there. It's in the theaters at the moment. That run will stop soon, and it will be out on DVD and hopefully online. Netflix and all those kind of places do not want to show, surprise, surprise, Vaxxed to the People's Truth. But we will find a forum for the world to see it, and I'm sure it'll be pirated soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
YouTube are working real hard to take it down, so they're doing the job for us. But the whole world will see Vaxxed 2 very, very shortly. We're just under a few contracts with theaters, but very, very soon it'll be
Okay,
out.
good. I'm probably just gonna have to buy. I have not been able to get tickets. Every time I get a message, it's like I go and I'm like, it's sold out. I'm like the wait list.
Oh no.
No,
yeah.
but
oh well, keep in contact with me.
Okay. All right, Polly. Mwah. I'm sure we will
Okay,
meet
thank
each
you
other
so much.
soon. Thank you so much for doing the interview. I'll text you later. Okay, peace and love,
Okay,
guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.